I have a friend. He's been asking me for design advice for years, 20 plus years in interior design, landscape design. I know this world. And every time he asks, I tell him exactly what to do, what color to paint, where to put the plant, which corner, which light, how far away from the wall. And every single time, he does something else entirely. And then he calls me again, asks me the same question, and I give him the same advice. And again, he does what he was going to do anyway, for years. I finally told him I was done giving advice, and he got angry. He said I was being mean. He said I should give him the advice because I knew what I was doing, and I was very good. And standing there, feeling like I had done something wrong, I realized I wasn't watching his problem. I was watching mine. You already know what I'm talking about. You've been in this loop. Maybe not with plants, but you've had the conversation that goes nowhere, and you keep having it. The relationship where you say the same thing and get the same response and nothing changes. The dynamic at work that you keep walking into even though you know exactly how it ends. The situation where you find yourself thinking, why do I keep doing this? I know better. I've known better for years. But knowing doesn't stop it. And here's what nobody tells you about that. It's not a willpower problem. It's not a character flaw. It's not a context problem. Something in the context keeps rewriting the script, and you keep running it without realizing what's happening. Here's what I want you to understand about context. Context doesn't just shape the room. Context shapes who you are in the room. A doctor says, go ahead and take off your pants. That's professional. A stranger at a bus stop says the exact same words, and it's a felony. Identical words, identical request. The only thing that changed was the context. A barber holds a razor against your throat. You sit perfectly still because the context says it's safe. If a stranger did that to you on the street, your body would respond completely differently. Same razor, same throat, different context, different you. Whoever controls the context controls the behavior. This isn't just true in elevators and doctors' offices. It's true in your marriage. It's true in your family system. It's true in every room you've been walking into since you were a child. The rooms you grew up in wrote these contracts. Rules about who gets to be upset, who keeps the peace, who performs and who hides, who earns their place and who gets theirs for free. You did not sign those contracts. You were too young to read them, but you've been running them ever since. So back to my friend. When I finally looked at what was happening, really looked, I saw something that I didn't expect. Yes, he had a context running him, something in him that already knew what he was going to do, before he even picked up the phone to call me for advice. The advice wasn't going to change that. The advice was almost beside the point. But here's what I had to sit with. I had a context running me too. I kept giving the advice, not because I thought he'd follow it. I was pretty sure that he wouldn't. By the third or fourth time, I certainly knew. I kept giving it because something in me needed to. It made me feel important, smart, useful, the expert in the room. It made me feel intelligent. And when he got angry at me for stopping, and I felt like I had done something wrong, like I was being mean, like I should just go along, that feeling wasn't about him. That was my context talking. A rule I'd been running for a long time. Don't disappoint people. Keep giving. Make yourself useful or you won't be valued. He was in his loop and I was in mine. And the context kept both of us exactly where we were. Two people, both knowing better, both unable to stop. Not because we were weak, not because we didn't care, because the context was running the show. And neither of us could see the contract that we were inside. Most people focus on their behavior. They think, if I just try harder, if I just make a better decision, if I just commit this time, it'll be different. It won't. Not until they look at the context underneath the behavior. Because the behavior doesn't create the context. Context creates the behavior. The room writes the contract. The contract runs the person. The person thinks they're choosing. But the most powerful context in your life isn't the meeting you walked into this morning. It isn't the difficult relationship that you keep navigating. It's the room you grew up in. That room wrote the original contract. Who you had to be safe. Who you had to be loved. What you had to earn. What you were never allowed to need. What you were never allowed to want. Who you were never allowed to be. And that contract has been running in every room you've entered since. The elevator, the boardroom, the marriage, the friendship with a man who won't take your advice. All of it filtered through that original context. All of it shaped by rules you never agreed to. The context from that room is still writing your behavior today, in rooms that you never knew existed. And this is what changes when you actually see it. You stop trying to fix the behavior. You start looking at the context underneath it. Not to blame the room, not to blame the people in it, but to see the contract clearly, maybe for the first time, and ask, is this mine? Did I choose this? Or was it just the air in the room that I grew up in, that I've been breathing ever since? My friend is still doing what he does. I don't give him design advice anymore. And not because I'm angry, and not because I stopped caring, because I finally saw the contract that I was inside. And once you see it, you really see it, you get to choose. You can still follow that contract. Some of them make a lot of sense. Some of them have served you, but there is a difference. And this difference is the whole thing. There is a difference between running a contract that you choose and running one that you never knew existed. Only one of those is freedom. You can guess which one. So the question that I want to leave you with, what context is currently writing your behavior? Not the room you're in right now, the original room, the one that wrote the first contract. And the question isn't whether to burn that contract down. The question is whether you've actually read it. If something in this video landed for you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Until next time.